Sharks are not the only marine residents that are getting a helping hand here at Banyan Tree. Recently, 3 turtle nests were discovered on the nearby island of Ihuru. This marked the return, after a long absence, of the green sea turtle to these shores. The hatching of the first of these 3 nests led to the establishing of a new study in the early life phases of the species. With the approval of the Ministry of Fisheries in the Maldives and the support of local and international wildlife foundations, the Marine Lab retained 10% of the baby turtles and housed them in a specially designed nursery. Okay, David, now this is wonderful. We're seated above a whole, I don't know what you call it, a pod of turtles?
I don't know actually. I don't know what you call a group of turtles. Yeah, but 43 baby green sea turtles.
Oh, so these are still babies?
Yes, yeah, these are only 10 months old. The idea behind this is it's a Head Start program. The other one's very much for research to find out about the animals. With the green sea turtles, yes, we are trying to find out about them, but primarily we're just trying to increase the numbers in the sea. As you probably know, all turtle populations are endangered, some more than others, but the green sea turtle is very much at risk, and we're trying to increase the numbers that we find in the Maldives and spread that throughout the world. Well, as I say, they've been in captivity now for 10 months, and we've been feeding them and looking after them, and in 2 months, on December the 13th, we'll be releasing them out into the sea. When we do that, we're going to put 2 tags through the back of their flippers, which we can use to identify them should they turn up on a beach, should they turn up in fishing nets in another part of the world, or hopefully, what we really hope is that they come back in 20 years and we can see them then. So we have the identity number of each turtle and the hatching time of it, and we can use that in the future to find out what's happened to them.
Internationally recognized as an endangered species, the status of the turtle in Maldivian waters was given a boost in 1995, when a complete ban was imposed on the sale of turtle products. Although turtle meat and eggs were consumed widely through the islands, their consumption is now illegal, and the government has raised awareness among the local population about the value of the species as a living reef resident. The babies here are nearing the first year of their lives and are coming close to their release date. The survival rate for turtle hatchlings in the wild is only 1 in 600. By raising these babies in safety and feeding them regularly while still giving them enough space to grow, the project has really given them a head start in life and a better chance of survival into adulthood. So, I mean, when you are feeding them here, do you notice, is there any way of comparing the difference in growth rate compared to the ones that you have here and the ones out in the wild?
Actually, I guess not really. What normally happens is that the baby turtles run down the beach at 6 centimetres big, and then the next time we see them is 20 years later when they're mature and they walk up the beach weighing 80 kilos.
There's no way of knowing what their life history is.
No, not really. I would assume that in the wild they probably grow at a slower rate because of the fact that here they get a much bigger diet and everything is provided for them. And really we are just trying to put them in the best position we can before they go back into the sea. We have noticed when they're in the cage that they will still eat some of the algae and chase some of the fish that wander in here. So we've realised from this and also from turtles we previously released that they still obtain the ability to look after themselves in the wild.
Oh, that's interesting, yeah. Actually getting into the water with a bunch of curious turtles and spending some time with them in their own environment really brings home how well adapted they are to an ocean-going way of life. Streamlined and deceptively powerful swimmers, these babies make me look like a sitting duck in the water, and gracefully dive and play around their human guest. But there's another vital goal for this project, and that's to find out exactly where the turtles go after surviving the challenges of hatching and heading for open sea. The details of this early life are still a mystery. The Marine Lab has also invested in satellite tracking and to date have been recording the remarkable journey of one of their previously released turtles.
the nature of things that we found from our tracking studies is that these turtles will often leave Maldivian waters and head out into areas where they're no longer protected. But that's something which hopefully we'll find out more about in the future.
And you were also saying before that you found out some interesting things about one of the turtles that you actually released with a satellite device on it.
Yes, over a period of about 7 months, it travelled about 3,000 kilometres.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a long way for a baby turtle to swim. It swam up through the Maldives Islands and then headed across to the south-west coast of India before coming back to the Maldives and then heading out into the Arabian Sea. It's possible that they may go as far as Africa for some sort of feeding grounds, and then like salmon, turtles return to the place where they were born to lay their eggs. So in the future, if it survives, it will have to make the long migration back again.
Once again, guests at the resort are invited to take part in the development and study of these turtles by getting involved in an adoption scheme. The greatest challenge, of course, is to understand the secrets that lie deeper in the oceans here. And that's not just for the sake of the many animals that live in and among the coral reefs. One of the most important roles reefs play, especially here in land-scarce Maldives, is to act as a natural barrier against the eroding effects of the tides and harsh weather. Both man-made and natural factors have helped to weaken this protection, and as a result, the islands have become more prone to this kind of physical degradation. Of course, the only way to reverse this situation is to re-strengthen these gaps in the defences. But before you can do that, you've got to first understand the unique geography that's found in this part of the world.
Behind me is the Banyan Tree Maldives Resort, which sits on an island just like the other islands you see dotted around the horizon. Now if you take a look in front of me, you'll think that this is the beginning of the deep blue sea. But in fact, according to the Maldivians, it's just a lagoon. Yes, even lagoons come giant-sized out here in the Maldives. Now the way it works is that this lagoon is commonly shared by all the islands that you see behind me. And even this little island here has about 200 to 300 meters stretch of coral, which suddenly drops off into the deep blue. It's a sheer drop of over 1 kilometer or more. And it's this change in gradient that the marine labs are studying to figure out how corals are adapting to this loss of light.
There's no choice but for David and his colleague Charith to dive virtually on a daily basis around various points off the coast of the resort and its neighbouring islands. This enables them to do a number of things. First, they can plot points along the contours of the corals to get a proper understanding of how the reefs fluctuate in year-round conditions. They can also observe firsthand how light-dependent corals react to being forced to grow in deeper, cooler waters. Wave action is strong enough to break off fragments of coral all the time, but in good condition they can re-establish themselves and grow back. Using this data and other information gathered from the reefs in the Maldives, the Marine Lab is undertaking a unique restoration project. One that will have far-reaching consequences for all the islands here.
Well, I hope that in the future that there is a strong willingness from all resorts to be involved with the environment and to try to protect it. Because at the end of the day, all those beautiful tourists who come and sunbathe on our islands are coming because of the beauty of the Maldives. So it is very important that we try to protect it as much as we can.
Well, that's it for the first part of our expedition here in the Maldives. After having taken a close-up look at some of the larger marine animals that live here, next week we get far more adventurous and dive deep down to take a look at the reef system as a whole and find out what marine biologists are doing to try and protect it. So, see you next week.